Hey, everybody. I'm Chris Metzler, one of the programmers here with SF DocFest. Thanks for joining us. We're here kind of sharing some of the more eclectic and interesting documentaries from around the world. And you just had a chance to see the really terrific film, The 50. We're lucky enough to have the filmmaker and part of the team and some of the folks in the film here. So welcome, everybody.
Hello.
Hey, Chris.
Hi, good to be here.
Yo.
If each of you could kind of introduce yourself and kind of share your role in the film.
Sure. Yeah, I'll kick things off real quick. My name is Brenton Gieser. Oh, that was
Sorry.
a loud cough, man. No worries. No worries. He wanted to go first. Sorry. My name is Brenton Gieser. I'm the director of the 50, and I'll pass it to Esteban to go next.
Yeah. Hey, I'm Esteban Padilla. I was one of the producers and cinematographers on the 50. Yeah, happy to be here. I'll pass it to Tracy.
Hi, I'm Tracy Lewis, one of the producers of the 50. I originally brought the idea to the talented Brenton, and he ran with it, and here we are today. I'll pass it on to Colette.
Hey y'all, I am Colette. I'm the impact producer on this amazing film. I'm so excited to pass it off to the guys who made it happen. I'll pass it to Randy.
My name is Randy Carter, and I am one of the 50 and one of the people who is featured in the film.
Very cool. Well, thanks again. Maybe a good place to start. Tracy and Brenton, what was the kind of genesis of the idea that you knew there was kind of this larger story that you wanted to tell? And what was kind of the first steps in kind of, trying to get access and figuring out how you were going to tell the story?
Yeah, I'll let Tracy take that. But first of all, I also want to introduce Al Wrench, who is one of the main characters of the film, along with Randy, and then Cameron Clark, who's one of the main characters as well. But Tracy, you want to kick us off and tell us, and then I'll kind of jump in?
Sure. I met Randy Carter back in 2017. Soon after meeting him, he shared his story with me, which I found to be incredible in and of itself. But as I spent more time with him, he kept mentioning all these other people who sounded pretty amazing as well. And I said, who are all these people? He said, there's actually 50 of us and we're called the 50. And I said, what? This story, it just came to me, has to be told. People need to know that there is life after mistakes. There is life after incarceration, that brilliant, beautiful people are incarcerated, and redemption is real and change can happen, but we got to get this story out there, especially since there's 50 of you. That's pretty compelling. So the first thing that popped in my mind is, who do I know that makes movies? And I had just met Brenton on a board that we were on in the Tenderloin, and I just cold called him. I said, I have an idea I'd like to pitch to you. He's like, let's meet for lunch and talk about it. So Randy and I met him, pitched the idea. He loved it instantly, but had to go think about, what it would take, and got back to us and said, yes, I'm on board. Let's do it. And then miraculous things started to happen. And I think, Brenton, you could probably take it from there.
Yeah, no, thanks, Tracy. Yeah, just sitting at lunch with both Tracy and Randy, and you just felt Tracy's energy. She's like one of a kind. And then meeting Randy for the first time and seeing a person who experienced what he experienced, being incarcerated, being somebody who's both made mistakes and processed those mistakes and gone through this process of rehabilitation for a long period of time, and now is serving the community. I felt all that in this one man and was just really compelled to get to know him more. And then once I got to know some of the other guys through hearing about them from Randy, Tracy and I decided to basically meet with a group of the 50. So we met with about, I think, 11 to about 13 of the guys, which included Cameron and Al. We met them in the Tenderloin in this nonprofit office, and we had a conversation. And what transpired through that process was getting a glimpse into just the open-heartedness of a group of men who I would assume, given everything they both endured, and the things that the shame and guilt that they've had to traverse, all that kind of stuff, right? that they would have been hardened and not available. But what I found are some of the most available, open-hearted people I've ever experienced. And that was kind of the impetus for me, knowing that this was a story worthy of pursuit. And soon after, then you get into the pragmatic aspect of it, and you dig into what is the story of the program? What's the story of the 50, specifically on a more macro level? And when researching that, I was amazed to kind of understand how this was a catalytic moment for corrections in California. And not only did the 50 go through this incredible radical healing process within the prison system, when by itself is incredible, but beyond that, they changed the culture of the prison they were in, and also more broadly shifted the culture of rehabilitation within California on the corrections level.
And Cameron, now, like when Brenton and Tracy and the team, kind of talked about wanting to share this story, what sort of questions did you have for them? And was there any kind of like hesitation in the sense of like, kind of making a documentary in the sense of kind of, bearing everybody's kind of heart and soul on video?
Me personally, Cameron Clark, I was happy that the story was going to be told, because this is something that, mainstream society don't see. They see the crime and they see, the trauma that's played out on the streets, but they rarely have a chance to see individuals go through a process of change, and to know that it's a real process of change. So I was very excited about Brenton being able to depict the story, because I felt like he was asking all of the right questions. And it wasn't something I didn't feel like it was something exploitive, to where he was exploiting the story to be heard or be seen as a producer or anything like that, but he actually cared about the change and the process of change. And so, I really felt good about it, me personally. Al, how did you feel?
Yeah, I was totally excited. There wasn't any hesitation when Brenton called. And I met Brenton and Tracy, and they were telling me about everything about the film. There wasn't any hesitation. It was just total excitement, because when I think back of 2009 and 10, when we were getting started, it was just an amazing journey. And a word that I heard from Tracy a minute ago was miracle. This was a total miraculous journey, not just to start with the 50, but just how they were seeds. We were 50 seeds planted that really have grown throughout the state of California within the prison system and beyond, because so many of us have been released from prison and paroled. It's been really just a miraculous journey for everybody, and to show that on film, it's just a great story for everybody to hear about. And I'm just happy to be a part of everything. Yeah.
Well, thanks again for sharing your story, guys. I guess this is a kind of a question for everybody involved, is that, one of the big things that's being discussed in the documentary community is about kind of, collaboration and, how filmmakers work with subjects and things. Brenton, how did you kind of approach this in the sense of like, would you see, at what point in the process did, folks that were kind of on camera get a chance to see a cut? And how did you guys decide to kind of weave the story together? How did that kind of the collaborative effort kind of work together? Or was it more, you were kind of capturing and telling the story as best you can, and then, showing it to folks later?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I think, first, like a little context is that, this was my first feature documentary, and doing it with like an ensemble cast of these 50 men. Not all 50 are in the film, of course, but nonetheless, it's a big cast, right? It's a lot of people to work with. The cool thing about it is that inherently built into the process of the program that all the 50 went through is, of course, storytelling, is like understanding their story, uncovering their story. So there was this openness to really share openly, And everybody that signed on, they knew what they were getting involved with to share openly with us and the team, with me, with Esteban, with Tracy, with Colette, with the whole team. So that was kind of the foundation of it all. I think because we dove into the stories of Randy, Cameron, Al in more depth, it took a great deal of kind of going a little bit further to understand, you know, their childhoods, because we do these reenactments in the film, right? Going deeper to kind of understand some of the emotional content of certain moments that we depict in the film and all that kind of stuff. So there was always an open line of communication. Like, and it differed with each person. So with Randy, like when we were doing the reenactments, he was on set with us. He, you know, he helped us cast the people who played him. With Cameron, I would be on I'd be on the phone with Cameron, and I'd be telling him certain ideas for certain scenes and all that kind of stuff. And we go back and forth on that all the time over the phone. And with Al, we did a lot of like kind of producing together. One thing that you don't see in the film is that Roger, who's Al's victim, was a big part of the process. We were very close to getting him. Actually, we did interview him, Esteban, myself, and our DP, Tony. We interviewed him, later pulled that away because based on his wishes. But Al was a really big part of basically producing his story within the film. But Esteban, do you have anything to add to that about the process?
Yeah, I think we tried as much as possible to keep them involved while, you know, trying to maintain our vision as well, but not necessarily ever decoupling. Like we would definitely keep them abreast of like style and stuff, and, you know, get their sign off as much as possible, but didn't want to, I mean, like we wanted a lot of it, I think, to be a surprise to them too. Like that, I think that was like one of the most valuable parts of this process, is actually showing them like how we visualized their words being recreated and like their lives like dealt with in a sensitive manner. And I think obviously like if something didn't like ring true to them, like we would take that note to heart and like go back into the edit with it. But, you know, thankfully, like I thought it was a really collaborative process that everyone really enjoyed.
Yeah, and was it Al? Was it you that were involved in casting the actor who was you in the reenactments?
I was not, but
Randy.
I love the two guys who were cast as me, the younger me. They were awesome.
They're friends now, you and Elliot, right? Yeah,
Right.
so.
So, you know, with the film done, and I know you guys have kind of started screening around, what are some of the kind of takeaways that you want us as an audience? And I know that you have kind of a larger kind of outreach and impact campaign that you're developing. Like, what is it that you're kind of hoping to kind of the change that you hope to kind of make in, you know, not only we in the community, I guess, but within the system?
Yeah, I can touch on that really quickly and then pass it to Colette on the impact side of things. I think we always went into this film with like two specific intentions. Like one is for people to walk away watching this film to hopefully understand that rehabilitation does work. It takes true investment. Sometimes it takes kind of like a radical idea to take hold and to be invested in. But rehabilitation does work. So that's one, in that this particular program, there's real true efficacy to this program, and that there's possibilities to really take this around the country as well and reproduce it in different states and beyond. So that's one thing. The second thing is, as you get from watching this film, is like the program in many ways is kind of a Trojan horse to have audience members kind of investigate their own internal space, you know. So the one thing that I experienced with the guys, with Randy, with Cam, with Al, is that I kind of went through my own personal healing journey making this film, and my own personal kind of introspective inquiry while making this film. And it was always the intent that these people could spark you know, through their own investigation and seeing that on screen, these people could spark audience members to do that themselves. And I think when we're playing in festivals and when we're talking to audience members afterwards, we're seeing that. But on the impact side, we're doing some really amazing things, and I'll have Colette talk about that.
Yeah, thanks, Brenton. I mean, you laid it out really well. I just want to add that, you know, not just that rehabilitation works, but that we are like wasting a meaningful, like valuable part of our society. Like we need the types of healers that come through this program and this lived experience that our society is craving support. And so are these guys. And so trusting people with lived experience to be the healers to their communities is a meaningful piece of what we're trying to say here. And so we're talking to legislators, to states, to recovery programs about bringing this film into their states, into their regions, to have conversations about what it looks like to invest in programs like these in the prisons and their communities, and to invest in the people that currently don't have opportunities like this, like these guys had in California. And so we're really excited to see that there's some seeds that we're planting that I think are going to see the continued growth for programs like these across the United States. And that's really all to these guys right here.
Which I guess, I imagine one thing that, many folks are wondering is like Randy and Cam and Al, what do you think most surprised you about the making of the film?
Randy, can you please answer that? Because I would love to hear yours. Because
what you said, what surprised me about the making of the film?
Surprised you? I mean, you guys have, told your story in other ways beforehand and have gone through a whole process, and, making a film is a little bit different. So yeah, was there anything through that process that surprised you or were challenging or even enlightening?
I'd say that the thing that probably surprised me is that I'm probably one of three people who talked about how important it would be to document our experience while we were going through the experience itself. Because I had a life sentence, and so and a lot of the guys who was coming to the program were at times feeling hopeless and felt like there was no need to change. And then we were given this information that could help motivate them to see their true purpose in life and feel like they can redeem themselves and feel proud of themselves. And for us to go back on that yard, and for me to go back on that yard with a film crew to share that experience, that not just myself, but the 49 other guys' experience of watching this shift in the yard, where people start recognizing their purposes as fathers and brothers and uncles, and just their purpose in life. And to now not only go back in the film, but a lot of those guys are out here in the community. They're here. I work in San Francisco. I see a lot of those guys who went through our program. I text them in the morning. I still see them throughout the day. They're leaders in the community in San Francisco. And a lot of people don't even know who they are. But they know who they are, and they're leading in their own way. So to have that documented, I think that that's really important, not just for Solano State Prison, but for a lot of prisons where guys were feeling hopeless and felt like there was no need to change because I lost my whole family. But to have a group where they can go and talk about that grief and that loss and be taught on the appropriate way to grieve that loss, right? Instead of shutting down, right? So it was just a whole bunch of stuff that was just surprising, and the fact that we can document it, and the documentary only shows a little bit of not just who I am, but a lot of we're a whole. We have books and probably more segments of this movie to tell. Yeah.
Nice. Well, I just, thank you again for, telling your story and sharing it with us. And, everybody just, thanks for making this wonderful film. And the thing I want to kind of encourage the kind of viewers at home and those that get a chance to see it during SF Doc Fest is just, we're lucky enough to have, filmmakers and filmmaking teams kind of share their films very early in the process with us. And so your role as an audience member at a film festival is go out there and spread the word about this terrific film and, let people know about it and encourage to bring it to their own towns and encourage people to check it out. Brenton, what's the best way for folks to kind of continue to follow the film and kind of help spread the word?
Yeah, we like to keep things simple. Just go to the 50, so the 50film.com, and we update everybody on the progress of the film, specifically what festivals we'll be at, what screenings we'll have. You go there, you could actually put in your email address, and like I said, all those updates will be sent to you. You also get a sense of the impact campaign that we're running as well, and see everything that's happening on that front. So that's the best way to get connected, and then get a sense of when we'll be actually releasing on VOD later as well.
Very cool. Well, everybody, especially, with this being, with Brenton being based in the Bay Area, hopefully the film will come back to San Francisco. So spread the word and kind of encourage folks to bring it back. And thanks again for joining us for the Q&A, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye, guys. Thanks.
Thank you.
So much.
Have a great week, guys.
You
See you at
too.
the Roxy.
Yep.
All
Bye-bye.
right.
Great job, Randy.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Chris.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye, guys.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
everybody.